Now what we can do is we can go into Cura and we can open up that folder. Cura's gone. Oh my god. There it is. Everything's fine. So in Cura, up in your top left here, you have this folder symbol. We're going to click on that. And normally when you go to click on this, what will happen is you'll go into a generic directory like this. You'd want to go to desktop. And then from there, you're going to look for your folder that you created, whatever you wanted to call it. Obviously, mine is called STL. You can call yours whatever you want, but mine is STL. And we're going to go to Bookkeeper. And then we're going to double click on it, and it should pop up. Smaller models should only take a couple of seconds to a minute. Larger models can take 5 to 10 minutes, depending on how powerful your computer is and the complexity of the model. So just try to be patient. I don't know why I think you guys aren't going to be patient. I keep saying that, like, I think that you guys are all like on a hairpin trigger. I'm sorry, I shouldn't make that assumptions about you guys. Anyway, so once in Cura, and once we have our model loaded in, there's a couple of quick notes about Cura. The left mouse button is going to allow you to select stuff. It's going to allow you to select all these different options here. Most specifically and most importantly, it's going to allow you to select your model. Clicking anywhere on the build plate is going to unselect your model. Clicking on the model will select it. The right mouse button, if you click that and hold it in, it allows you to move your view around the model, below the model, above the model. If you hold in on the middle mouse button, so the mouse wheel button, if you click in on that, you can move your view left to right and up and down, only in one orientation, not moving it around the model. Which sometimes is helpful if you want to do something like this and zoom in and look at that beautiful mustache and those mutton chops. Then you can zoom down to a pretty ordinary base, but that's fine. I do have another video about putting decorative bases on models if you wanted to, but what we're going to do here is zoom out a little bit so we can see some of these details, and I'm going to give you guys a breakdown of what some of these buttons around here do. So with our model selected, what these arrows are telling us, and that is the top button on your left panel here, this allows you to move your model left and right, back and forth, up and down. Now something to note about this is that when you move the model up above the build plate, it'll snap back down to the build plate, but the opposite is not true. If you move this model down below the build plate, what's going to happen is Cura is now going to recognize that as the bottom of the model, and it's going to start printing from there. So you want to be careful not to do that. Some people use that as a kind of a quick and dirty way to cut a base off. I don't typically do that because I've had some issues with it in the past. If it's real quick and you don't care that much about the model, you can go for it if you want to save yourself some time. But I have a video on how to cut bases off using MeshMixer, which is a really great program, but not something we're going to be worrying about right now. So if you really wanted to and you wanted to cut this base off, if you didn't really care about the model, you could do something like that. And now you can see most of the bases down below the build plate, and it's going to start printing from his shoes rather than the base itself. But like I said, I wouldn't recommend it. It's really easy to import into MeshMixer. So, next button is going to be for scaling. Now, 100% is a very relative term. So if somebody says, oh, I printed that at 100%, that means that it is the exact size that the artist originally made it. If you say I printed it at 120%, you're saying obviously I printed it at 20% larger than what the original file was. So if somebody says they printed, the Great Red Dragon at 200%, that's probably massive. But if someone says I printed the Barkeeper at 200%, that may or may not be huge. It really depends. So just keep that in mind. I've had issues in the past where someone has told me about a percentage that they used, and it sounds like it's something really specific and really, really important that I need to keep track of, and it ends up not really being. It's just relative. So that being said, if you wanted to scale this model up, there's two different ways you can do it. Let's say we wanted to do, we wanted to scale them down a little bit. We want to make them just a little smaller, do 80%. Then it's going to drop them down a little bit. Same is true, you can go the other direction, 120%. It's going to make them a little bigger. Or you can always grab one of these points here. Moving it out away from the model is going to make it bigger. Moving it towards the model is going to make it smaller. One quick note about that though, always make sure that uniform scaling is selected, because if it's not selected, what you're going to do is you're going to warp this model because you're only stretching it in one direction, not uniformly in all three. So we're going to hit Control-Z, which is going to undo what we did. Anytime you screw up and make a boo-boo, you can hit Control-Z and fix that. It's like it never happened. We're going to go back to 100%, because I want to print this at exactly what the artist originally intended. See, we undid uniform scaling there. Just that one quick snap that I made, I undid uniform scaling. I thought it looked a little weird. So again, we're going to hit Control Z, uniform scaling, 100%. There we go. That looks better. So that's my fault for trying to go too quick. Next thing we're going to come down to is rotating the model. Now this can be really useful. Again, we'll get into more details with this later when we're talking about changing the orientation for a print. We're not doing that with this one. We're just going to print it as is because we're trying, like I said, to learn things in steps here so that it's not too overwhelming. But if you really wanted to rotate the model for whatever reason, you could use this, these settings here. This is the input for rotating your model in Cura. Really useful later on, but we're not going to worry about that too much right now. Mirroring. Again, mirroring is something we're not really going to worry about too much right now, but just to give you guys a real quick, brief example, what it does is it allows you to change the orientation of a model. So let's say I wanted to print two of these guys for multiple different bars, and I wanted to give them a little bit of uniqueness. I wanted to try to make them look a little bit different. You can use this to shift his orientation. So instead of holding the mug in his right hand and cleaning it with his left, boom, now he's holding it with his left hand and cleaning it with his right. It's like friggin' magic. Magic! So from there, what we're going to do is we're going to put them back in the same orientation. Now, when that's really useful, in my opinion, is when you're going to be printing a lot of something like an army and you want to give them a little bit of variety. So like Town Guards is a really good one. Some guy's holding, you know, sword over his head with his right hand. You want to mirror him to make another exact copy, but a little bit different. So now he's holding with his left. It just, like I said, adds some variety. But these other two we're not going to talk about at all because it's really mostly for support stuff, so we're not going to worry about it right now because you don't need them to print this model. I just wanted to give you guys a basic understanding. Okay, so next what we're going to talk about are your settings up here on the top right. And we're going to talk very briefly about these because there's a lot of them, and I'm just going to give you guys, like I said, what you need to get printing, and we'll talk about some of the more nitty-gritty of these details later on. So you're going to hit Custom, and then you're going to go up to your presets up here. You're going to click on this little drop-down and go to Fine. Now, what these are is exactly what it sounds like. It's just a bunch of pre-selected settings that fit within certain profiles for certain quality. And right now, like I said, we're going to use Fine, which is 0.1 millimeters. And then you don't have to X this out, but I do it just because I like to give myself a little bit more room to see what I'm working on. Then you're going to come down and you're going to hit Slice. You're not going to change any other settings. That's all you're going to do is just select that Fine preset, the 0.1 millimeter, and then hit Slice. And certain models are going to take, again, if they're larger models, this is going to take a long time. If they're smaller models, it's going to go pretty quick. And now from here, we're going to hit Preview, which you can also do it up here. But this should hopefully give you guys a little bit better idea of the next part that I'm going to explain, which is going to be probably the most technically confusing part of all of this. At least I hope it is. That sounded wrong. I mean, I hope that the rest of this wasn't as confusing as this, not I hope this is confusing for you guys because I'm some kind of jerk that is going to have fun with confusing the hell out of you guys. Sorry, I thought that sounded weird. So, if we scroll this down, what you're seeing here is how your printer is actually going to create this model. And I think it's super cool and mesmerizing to watch. You guys might not, but that to each their own. So we go all the way down to our first layer here, which is a quick side note. I always 100% recommend, whether you're doing FDM or resin printing, always when you're ready to save this model, which we basically are at a point now where we could save this model, always scroll down to your first layer to make sure that there aren't any issues. There's a ton of things that could happen. The model could have an issue with it. The file could have gotten corrupted when you were importing it or something. Lots of stuff can happen, and I have an entire video explaining how that can frustrate the hell out of you when you're working on a model and you don't know what's going wrong and it keeps failing. So if you scroll down to the very bottom layer and you see that it looks good, that's a good sign that your model's gonna print correctly. And it only takes a second. It's always worth doing because the last thing you want to do is put all this time and effort into getting this model ready and then putting it in your printer and having it fail over and over again, and then finally going back and looking at the file and realizing that the first layer isn't printing correctly, and that's what's causing your problem. So like I said, just scroll all the way down to the very bottom layer, make sure that that looks good so that you know the rest of the model is going to print good from there. Now you can use your arrow keys to go layer by layer, or you can scroll up using this slider here. Now I'm going to scroll up to an area and show you guys what this cool slider does, which is it actually shows you the path that your hot end is going to take to create the model, which I think is really cool. And this can kind of give you guys an idea of how your printer works and how this all comes together to create these really cool models. So real briefly, the last thing I want to describe is layer height. And I think with a visual this should help a little bit. So what layer height means is a lot of people will equate layer height with quality, which is pretty true often enough, but not always. So if we had this set at a, sorry, I'm really trying to get a specific spot. There we go. If we had this set at a really thick layer height, like 1 millimeter, which would be crazy, you'd never do that. But, or would you? No, you wouldn't. So if we had it at, we have it at 0.1 millimeters, that means that this is being cut into as many 0.1 millimeter slices as it takes to get from the bottom of the model to the top of the model, which so happens that it's, what did I say, 446? 446. So if we had this at a smaller layer height, we would have more layers. That would give us more variance, therefore more detail, because you can fit more subtle shifts, more subtle changes in the model, which gives you a little bit more well-rounded edges, makes things look a little softer, makes it look a little bit more detailed. So that's why people will say that they print at really low layer heights to get really high details, and that can be kind of confusing, but if you look in here, if you zoom in on this model, you can see that each one of these represents a slice. And that's why it's called slicing, and that's why my channel is called Slice Print Roleplay, because slicing your model is really the first part of creating it, because it needs to be sliced for your printer to be able to know how it's going to create this model. So you can see here there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8-ish layers here. Now if we had this at like say 0.8 or 0.6, this would have even more layers in it, giving us even more subtle shifts and subtle detail that's going to pop a little bit more. But for right now, I think 0.01 is perfectly fine, or 0.1, I'm sorry, is perfectly fine. It's a good way to start, and your model's going to look perfectly fine. Like really, when it comes down to it, this is a model you're going to use, you know, every time your group's in town, or you know, maybe you want to use this as an NPC, or as, I'm sorry, as a player character, and you want it to have higher detail. But for now, stick with that. Use the Find preset, get to printing, and definitely jump on the Slice Print Roleplay page and show us your guys' first model, because I think that's super important, and I do personally think that you should always hang on to your first model. So if you have a model that prints halfway and it fails or whatever, you know, it's up to you if you want to keep that or not, but your first model that you have that you print, you're really proud of, you're really excited about, hang on to that model, because it's super important to be able to look back on that in, you know, 3 weeks, 6 months, however long it is, and be able to see what you started with and where you are now. So all that being said, the last thing we're going to do here is we're going to talk about saving. So you're going to go to I usually like to use this arrow here and hit save to file, because I like to have a little bit of say in where this is going to go. Now hopefully you guys have either an SD card adapter or something that allows you to plug into a USB port on your computer so you can save this file to your SD card, which is what most of these FDM printers use. So here's my SD card for my Ender 3 here, and now if you want to know how to name this, it's super easy. We're literally just going to right click on it and go to where it says rename, and you can put whatever you want in. I recommend naming it whatever your printer is, because I think that it just makes it easy to use one SD card for one printer, unless you have a bunch of the same printer. If you have like 4 or 5 Ender 3s, which I know some people do, you can name them, you know, 1 through 5, or you can swap them in and out. You know, it's up to you. You can do what you want is what I'm saying. You have permission to live your own life, I guess. But I named this one Ender 3 because I only have one, and from here I'm going to click on this. It's going to bring up my Ender root, which is what I have all my stuff organized into. And then I put all my other stuff back into old just to make it easy for you guys to see in here. Now the way that I save these, just as a title, what I'll usually do is I'll get rid of the type of printer, because Cura will put in, so this is a Lotmax SE10. It just throws that in there so I know what this was printed for, or what this was sliced for, what type of printer. And I'm going to put in 1.15. You guys don't have to do this, but I like doing this because there's some printers that don't tell you how long a print is going to take before it finishes. It just tells you the printing time that's elapsed since it started. So what that means is if you have a print that's going to take like 20 hours and you're at hour like 10 and you don't remember how long it's going to take to print, and you want to have an idea of, you know, maybe you want to go out or something and you want to have an idea of keeping track of when this is going to be done, if it doesn't tell you how long something's going to be printing, then you can't really keep track of that. So this is a really easy way. You just put it in the title, 1.15, that means it's going to take 1 hour, 1 hours. It's going to take 1 hour and 15 minutes to print, and then, like I said, you can keep track of it. I usually get rid of everything that I don't need to quickly identify the model, so I'm going to say 1.15 Barkeeper. That lets me know that this Barkeeper is going to take 1 hour and 1 hour and 15 minutes to print, and I can keep track of it really easily. So then you're just going to hit save. Now you've already selected this directory, and you'll see that it's going to save in a G-code file. That is the type of file that your printer reads. So just to quickly refresh, we downloaded an STL off of Thingiverse, and now we're creating a G-code that's going to save from Cura onto our SD card that we can then put into our printer, and our printer will read that G-code file. So we're going to hit save, and we're done. You guys are ready to print. So I appreciate you guys sticking with me through all of that. This is my first really long video. I hope that I was a decent guide and I wasn't too rambly and led you guys into the bushes where we ate some berries that made everybody go on a terrible trip. But maybe that's what you were in for, and if that's the case, awesome. If not, I apologize, and hopefully my next video will be a little bit more on topic. But yeah, wanted to get all these thoughts out, wanted to help you guys. If there's any questions you guys have, please put them in the description or in the comments below. So if you guys watched this video and you found this really helpful, I would really appreciate it if you would jump onto the Facebook page and post a picture of this model. You might use this model, you might use a different one. Post a picture of it, and like I said, keep that first model. I highly recommend hanging on to it, just as, you know, a reminder of where you came from, what you did, and where you started at, so you can look at that versus the models you're printing later on. And like I said, it would really make me happy to see that we're getting some new people in this hobby. So please jump on that, and if you like the video, please like the video, subscribe for more content, and yeah, thanks for sticking with me. Till next time.